readers. Thanks for tuning in to Books in the Park. Hope you had a great week of reading. I certainly did. Looking forward to talking to you about it. Why don't we take a seat? So, what did I read this week? I know that I mentioned previously that I was reading a book called The Dispossessed by Ursula Guin, and I finished it. I had been reading it as part of like an online book club, but unfortunately I just felt like I had too many irons in the fire. I was reading several books, none of them I was making a lot of progress on, and so I just decided to focus on one at a time, and because I had sort of started this one earlier, I just decided not to wait for the book club and just finish the book. I have been done with it for a few days now, and I've got to say that it is one of those books that stays with you after you're done. I think that sort of the characters, the plot, the worlds sort of take a while to settle in, and I enjoyed it. But there are also aspects of it that I struggled with, that I agreed with, that I disagreed with, and I think that sometimes that's maybe the sign of not necessarily a good book, but a book worth reading, because it's not simply the story, it's not simply the entertainment of it, of the worlds created and the cultures created, but also something that helps you grow as a person. And I think that even if you don't agree with sort of some of the underlying, I don't know if you would call it politics, but perspective of the author, even if you don't agree with that, it challenges your own set of ideals or beliefs or perspectives. And I think that this is a book that does that. On a very basic level, it's the story of, or I guess on a structural level, it's a story of two worlds, a home planet and its moon, two cultures, two peoples that were once one on the main planet, Eurus, but that because of revolution, separated. And the home planet is a planet of, I guess what we would call capitalists. The moon planet is a planet of anarchists with no central government. And we are introduced to these two cultures and planets by the character Shevek, who is a physicist who is developing a theory sort of the universe and time and space that is not welcome on his home world of Anaris, which is the moon. And his journey to the home world to work with other scientists and physicists on developing this theory, and the conflicts and the differences between the societies become apparent through this. The stereotyping, the judgments, the antipathy between the peoples become apparent, and also the two different types of, not government, but rule. Right? The capitalist society has a strong central government that has maintained the classes to a severe degree. And then on the moon world, where the anarchists live, a strong internalized government has taken place, although they would reject the term. The term that I thought of was embodied authority. Because there's no central government to create their myths and their sort of central culture, the authority of the beliefs, the perspectives of the anarchists are embodied at a very young age, and the inhabitants of the world carry that with them, and it's very interesting, right? I have a very basic view or understanding of what anarchism would look like, but if you really think it through, not having a central government makes it very difficult to pass on ideas and and culture and morals. And so other than self-governance, how do you pass those ideals on? And I think what happens is a sort of internalized big brother. And the idea of freedom is central to their belief system, but are they actually exercising freedom? I don't know. That's for you to decide as a reader. But it is a very interesting world that's been created. I think it's classified as science fiction, but there's not really any sort of magical science or magical technology. It is very culture based. It's like cultural fiction. And if you're into that kind of thing, which I am, it's fascinating. It does take place on other worlds, and these are not humans. They're not Homo sapiens. They're not like, our distant progeny that have expanded out into the universe. No, these are different worlds. And so it is sort of created from the ground up. But it's also has enough similarities with us that I think that we can all find sort of some connection to it, which I enjoyed. So I would say that the cultural aspects of it were my favorite. I think something that did kind of snag in the back of my mind is that I think these cultures have been sort of removed from one another for like 175 years. And I think that the culture is emphasized, but I don't think that sort of the biological similarities that they would still have after 175 years were emphasized enough. I think it was all culture. It was all nurture, not enough nature for me. I thought that there would be a stronger drive for the anarchists who are sort of like have created sort of a communal society, that the drive of the ego and selfishness would be greater than I think that was represented. I think the main character, Shevek, represents that, but I don't think that the rest of society embodied that nature part of a species existing enough. But that said, the culture was fascinating. There are a lot of books in this series, several other books in this series. I think at some point I probably will open up another one. And like I said, it's one that I've sat with and that I've thought of. And I think I might continue to do for a while. So The Dispossessed by Ursula Guin, I recommend it. I think it'll be a challenging one for you. So let me know what you think about it down below, if you do or if you have already read it. As far as books that I'm reading, I'm continuing to, let me not go there first. I took a pause on Klara and the Sun, which I mentioned last week. I was listening to it, and I just decided that it was not a book to listen to. It was one that I needed to buy. And so rather than buying it new, I purchased it used online and basically waited all week for it to come. It just came. So when I finish the other book that I'm reading now, I'm going to read that one. And I've already listened to part one of it, so I'll be able to jump right in. I'm anticipating that one. I'm really looking forward to finishing that one. It was just it's so well written, and such an interesting perspective of addressing artificial intelligence from the perspective of the artificial intelligence. So more to come on that one. Can't wait to get into that some more. The other one that I'm reading is still Narcissus and Goldmund. I'm just about done with it. I should finish it today or tomorrow. And I mentioned before that I had read it in adolescence and enjoyed it greatly. I am still enjoying it. The writing style, it's just Hesse just writes in such a beautiful style. And so I'm enjoying it. I definitely am seeing it from a different perspective. But that's what life should be about, right? As we get older, we should see things differently. So I look forward to talking in more depth about that next week. But before I talk more about that, I did have my quote of the week from Narcissus and Goldmund. I wanted to share a little bit of it with you. I thought maybe it might give you an idea of what I'm talking about when I say that Hesse writes in such beautiful sort of prose. And in this one, really, the title is Narcissus and Goldmund, but it follows Goldmund mostly. And in this scene, he's reflecting on, he's looking at some older folks and thinking about the future and his future and the future that we all sort of must grapple with, but yet we don't quite engage. So he's reflecting on older individuals, and he says, or he thinks, "Oh, how incomprehensible everything was, and actually sad, although it was also beautiful. One knew nothing. One lived and ran about the earth and rode through forests, and certain things looked so challenging and promising and nostalgic. A star in the evening sky, a blue harebell, a reed-green pond, the eye of a person or of a cow, and sometimes it seemed that something never seen yet long desired was about to happen, that a veil would drop from it all. But then it passed, nothing happened, the riddle remained unsolved, the secret spell unbroken, and in the end one grew old and looked cunning, like Father Anselm, or wise, like Abbot Daniel, and still one knew nothing, perhaps, was still waiting and listening." And really, I think that gets to the heart of some of the themes in the book, and I look forward to digging into more once I've finished it. One of my favorite authors, and I look forward to sharing more of it with you. So thank you for tuning in to Books in the Park. Have a great week of reading. Bye for now.